So the last thing I've been working on is this pivot point here, and I've got a 1/2 inch bolt in there right now. It's a 1/2 inch diameter, same size as this, but the bushing that I used in here is actually bigger than that. It's actually 5/8. So this bolt is only temporary. I'm going to be using a bigger bolt, about as big around as my thumb. A 5/8 bolt is going to be going in there. So I've only drilled it out with a pilot hole and then a 1/2 inch bit, so I'm not quite ready to put the big bolt in there yet, but that's my pivot point there, so my plow can turn, and it stops there, and it stops there. Quite the angle though. That's definitely enough, or more than enough. So I'll have to put some holes and pins and graduations for different angles here somehow, somewhere. And this plate, I might have something that wraps over top of this plate just to make sure it doesn't move. It should be okay when I get the big bolt in here and the pins out here, but I've got a nut on here right now, but at the end of the A-frame here on the vehicle, I welded a big heavy sleeve. It's about I don't know how, I think it's about 3 inches long, and it's a 5/8 hole down through it. So I welded a heavy sleeve in there into the angle iron, and then I welded another piece around it for extra strength. So that's where I'm at right now. Still got to do these hinge springs so this thing can hinge back and stay back. It only trips down like that if you hit a rock. Right now it's just sagging because there's no springs on it. And it goes up and down. I welded this A-frame support in here, so it's literally the letter A now. But yeah, I welded it in here for something to pull up and down on. And it's really thick too. I think it's 1/4 inch thick, same as the other angle irons there. So I still got some stuff to do here, but yeah, I'm happy with it so far. Oh my goodness. Look at the evidence, boys. She's threatening. There's ice and freezing rain on everything. And she's threatening to snow. She's trying to snow. So I guess I better get this thing in order. Get this project in order here. This is what I did to the end of the A-frame. I cut the angles so the plow could turn, and welded a heavy bushing in there. I don't know, it's about 1/4 inch thick, I guess. And after I welded the bushing in, I wrapped a plate around the bushing and welded that right over top again. So trying to do a heavy duty overkill again, but this hole here is actually a 5/8, so here's a 5/8 bolt, and it fits in there nice and snug. And 5/8, there's a 5/8 compared to a 1/2 inch. So my center pivot is going to be 5/8. It's going to be a little bigger, and yeah, there should be plenty strong. This is my welds didn't turn out very pretty here, but it should be strong. And I'm probably not done welding yet. I'll probably do some more welding. Certain places that need some more, so I'll probably do some more. And then I got to drill this hole out a little bigger. It's only a 1/2 inch, so I got to drill it out to 5/8. I made a friggin' snowman. Oh my goodness. He's not very big though. He's a mini snowman. Oh, what is this stuff, Woody? What is all the white stuff? You like that kind? You like that kind? Something about mud and snow. Snow makes everything look so clean and pretty, and mud makes everything look so dirty and yuck. There's the best of both worlds right there. Well, I started this project probably a week ago or more, and there was the weather wasn't too bad. We've been spoiled so far, but today the snow is here, and it seems to be melting a little bit. But the high today is going to be below 0 all day, so I don't anticipate it all melting today. But oh my goodness. So, I like following plans because I know exactly what to do next if I have plans, and jump right on it. But since I don't have any plans and I'm just doing this all off the top of my head, I wasted a day or two just thinking about what to do next. Well, between that and the weather and the fact that life is busy, I haven't really got much done the last couple days. So I think I'm going to put a plate under here, and it'll have a pin hole here and maybe a pinhole here and of different graduations. So let's say the hole is, here's your center line, this yellow dot, one of those yellow dots, I think it's this one. So I'll have a hole in the A-frame here, well, not here, but you know, in this part, going across, and I'll have several holes in this radius. So if whichever angle you want, you just drop the pin down through. And I seen another design yesterday where there's a piece on top of this plate, but it's a stationary piece that stays bolted to the A-frame here, and that prevents like any tippiness on your hinge point here, like forward or backwards. So I might do one of those over the top as well. Oh my goodness. This stuff again? This stuff again? So I've welded in this piece here recently, and see if I can do this with one hand. There. So the piece I welded in is right in line with this yellow line here. Excuse me. So I'm going to drill off my first hole in this plate and try to line it up at 90 degrees or straight, and then start making some locking pinholes to lock the angle. Well, I put the 2-foot square on there and lined it up close to the center point, and then I measured from the corner. That piece there pivots with the plow, so I measured from that corner back to where the bolt mark is, and then I measured the same thing on that side, and I got them both right now at 40 inches plus an eighth. So there's 40 inches and an eighth between the blade and the mount. So now that I've got it all set up nice and straight and square, I'm gonna drill through the second pilot hole. This is my first pilot hole, and now that I've got everything lined up, I can drill down through the plate, which will lock it into position, hopefully, and then I'll figure out my angles. Alright, I'm making a mess as usual, and oh yeah, another thing I made was holes, making messes and making holes. So anywho, you see some holes here, and this device here turns with the plow. So that locks her into the straight position. So if you try to turn it, she's locked in there to the straight position. So now I need to find some more holes in this top plate. I think there's going to be one somewhere around the same angle as this bar, and another one around the same angle as this bar, so I can pull the pin. Let's say the hole is here somewhere, and so I can pull the pin, turn it, and then drop the pin down through there, and that'll give your plow pretty hefty angle. I'll definitely be keeping it less than 45 degrees, probably around 30 maybe. So I need to drill some more holes in this radius, but to make sure that they're lined up really good, I might flip this thing over and drill from underneath, because there's already a hole lined up in my bottom plate there. So if I offset this to the angle that I want and then go from underneath and drill through, my holes will line up. They'll line up nice. Another way I can do is I can measure from the center point out and go that way, but just to be safe, I might do them from underneath. Okay, I've measured some angles off the center point here, and I actually measured from the center point to this arm, and then from the center point to this arm on the inside. So when I offset it, this yellow center point lines up almost perfect with my A-frame. So I use this yellow line to make a blue line on the A-frame underneath, and then I used my blue marks to line up with that line I made underneath. So from under here there's a line that lines up with this blue line, so I can go underneath and drill my hole through this plate, and it should line up perfect with that A-frame lock underneath. So now I've got it clamped where I want it. This yellow line is going to be here, and then for my next spot, my yellow line will be over here, and I'll be drilling over here. Oh my goodness. So I went underneath, and I made, since I had a 3/8 hole here, I used the 3/8 drill bit just to mark the spots, to keep the 3/8 would stay on center there. So I used the 3/8 bit just to mark them, and then I took the plate off of the A-frame here, and laid it down, put some cutting oil down, and drilled some pilot holes first, and then I come back to the 3/8 drill bit. So I'm not sure if these will be 3/8 or 1/2 inch. I'm not really sure yet, but now I can put the plate back on and check for alignment. Okay, I got the radius plate back on again, and center hole lines up as usual, and when you turn it, that lines up pretty darn good, that one. Yeah, it looks pretty darn good to me. If you're not sure, I'm just gonna go down. Ooh, oh my goodness. Okay, I got my drill on low speed, high torque. I'm gonna put it on reverse so it doesn't twist out of my hand. And the drill bit goes down through both. I am running it in reverse right now, and to put it in forward again. And just ream it around just a little bit, just to make sure that the holes are lined up, if you have to, if you must. But these are pretty good. Put it in reverse so I don't rip my arm off again. Go straight down through. Oh. pull the pin out here and change the angle. When I put the nut on the center pivot, it'll get even tighter. Or yeah, right now there's a tiny bit of slop, but nothing to worry about at all. Everything's lined really well, and all the holes are pretty tight and snug. And the bushing here is pretty thick and long, so yeah, everything's working out. If you wanted more graduations, you could do another one on 45. Well, 45 would be in between this 90. This is a 90-degree radius pie cut here, so halfway would be 45 degrees. So I'm guessing half of 45, this would be about 22.5 degrees here, give or take, and 45 would be about here somewhere. So you could do another hole if you're brave enough to push on a 45-degree angle. You could do that, or even in between, you could do like a 15-degree, put another hole here and here. That big bad boy would probably make a nice snowplow return spring, trip spring. Too bad I can only find one. That one's probably strong enough for only one, but I'd like to find a pair.